Hi there, welcome back to another Crypto Dave video. It's Friday afternoon, which means another weekly crypto roundup video. And before we jump into the stories this week, let's take a quick glance at the markets. As you can see here, current market cap 267 billion. Now that's up substantially on last week. It's up about just over 30 billion for last week, and correspondingly BTC dominance is down a little bit. Now if we look at the 7-day chart, we can see this was basically when I did the video last week, and then almost immediately after, within sort of 12 hours or something like that, or it might have even been less, might have been 6 hours, we saw that big pump up in kind of price. So we had that, it settled sideways for a little bit, we had another little kind of increase, and it's been kind of tracking sideways for the last few days, for the last sort of 3 or 4 days. Now what you tend to find when you get into this kind of sideways kind of channel, then you're going to get a breakout one way or the other. Now recently it tended to have been down, so it tended to be breaking downwards, but obviously we've had a couple of kind of like little spikes this week, slightly more kind of bullish kind of sentiment. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, whether we see another kind of break downwards before we start seeing kind of like increases again. But it's been a positive week, and it's been quite a while since we've had one. So week after week after week recently, over the last couple of months, I seem to be talking about the market kind of going down. So it's nice to see a little bit kind of a recovery. But looking at the kind of market cap, we're still well under 300 kind of billion. Wasn't that long ago when we were in the sort of 325. I remember we were in that sort of 325 kind of range for quite a while before we took this kind of like plunge down. But looking across the top 20, we've seen similar kind of charts across the board. Some coins have done badly. Binance has had another poor week. I don't know if this is down to kind of trading volumes or something like that. Tron hasn't had a kind of great week. There's some other kind of coins that haven't done that well. Ontology hasn't really kind of done anything. But the majority of coins in the kind of top 20 and even slightly further down the list have had a pretty reasonable 7 days. A lot of them are down couple of percent today, but over the last 7 days seems to be pretty decent. But anyway, let's stop talking about the markets, jump over to the first story. And this is going back a few days now, but it's a Reddit kind of post that kind of explains why gas prices on the Ethereum network are so high, and it comes down to an exchange basically called Fcoin, and they've been doing this kind of listing kind of I suppose a kind of listing kind of competition or something like that. But in order to kind of vote for the coin you want kind of listed, you have to use, or the default gas is really, really high. And the trouble with that is that they've been receiving like loads and loads of these kind of votes to get coins listed. And because the gas price has been so high, or the default value that they give you is very, very high, it's pushed the entire kind of gas price of the Ethereum network way up. So if we scroll down, ETH gas station, which is quite a good site for kind of like looking at kind of like prices, says that at the time, this is 5 days ago now, but 22% of the network capacity was used by these kind of listings, which is a huge amount. That's almost kind of back to the kind of crypto kind of kiddies day. And I suppose the interesting thing with the story really is that it shows really how far Ethereum has got to go to scale. When you can have a small exchange doing kind of like kind of listing kind of votes, and that can kind of bring the network to its knees, or not to its knees necessarily, but can push the price across the network up so kind of high. It really does show that Ethereum has got quite a long way to go in order to kind of scale up. And I know that they've got lots of sort of ideas of how they're going to kind of scale, and they've got new stuff hopefully coming out in the next kind of few months. But at the moment, Ethereum, kind of Bitcoin, we've got similar kind of issues, and that's why Lightning Network's been developed. But we have scaling issues on a lot of kind of cryptocurrencies, and it's it's a little bit embarrassing, I suppose, sort of outside the world of crypto, when something like kind of crypto kitties, like kind of like a sort of like little game on the blockchain, could bring an entire network to its knees, and this kind of thing doesn't really kind of help that. So hopefully the price will be back down. I think they have started to kind of ease off. I know a lot of different companies are saying we're stopping sending payments. I know that Golem Network were like, well, due to the high fees, payments going to be delayed, and various other bits and pieces like that. So it has had a knock-on effect on a lot of other kind of tokens, because the vast majority of tokens are sat on Ethereum's network. So if the Ethereum kind of network's gas price is high across the kind of board, it does have knock-on effects for other projects sat on that network. But let's jump over to the next story. And this is quite a positive one here. So it's basically talking about South Korea. So they're trying to put some legislative framework around a lot of kind of cryptocurrency and blockchain type stuff. So South Korea are very early adopters of kind of cryptocurrency and blockchain technology in general. And this is just the latest kind of like sort of government I suppose, kind of plan to kind of push some of these things into a more legit and more kind of like sort of stable kind of framework. So they're going to be categorizing cryptocurrencies exchanges as legal entities. So they'll become crypto asset exchanges and brokerages. There will be other stuff, so stuff like Ethereum, which is a platform, will be a blockchain-based software supply and development businesses. So they're trying to basically kind of categorize existing kind of crypto kind of businesses and put them within a kind of like framework where they'll be able to then work within a kind of like legal framework kind of going forward. So I think this is really kind of good news. I think it's something that's going to happen kind of across the board, but South Korea, as always, seems to be kind of like pushing the boat out, and it seems to be a very early adopter with these kind of plans. And the government seems very open to cryptocurrencies, very open to blockchain technologies, which I think is fantastic. And I think it will be, really kind of good for them. They'll be an early adopter, and I think they'll get a lot of business out of it going forward. But yeah, quite good news that I think, and I think something that other countries really need to kind of look at and maybe implement similar type things. Let's jump over to the next story, and that is Monaco. So I got an email this morning. I've talked about Monaco before. So Monaco was a token. It was an ICO last year, and they are launching crypto credit cards now. You may have seen in if you watched the monthly Roundup video, that I bought 50 Monaco kind of tokens in order to kind of lock those up for a particular crypto Visa card that I want to get through Monaco. And I got an email this morning, so they're rebranding. So basically they've acquired this name, so it's crypto.com. I believe this was not a cryptocurrency domain before. I think it was more into kind of cryptography and sort of network security before, but they've obviously bought the domain. I imagine it's cost them quite a bit. So the Monaco kind of project has been rebranded to crypto.com. The Monaco card, which is what I bought the tokens for, is now being rebranded as MCO, which is their token. And there's also a kind of a white paper. So if you want to see some of the stuff they're doing and some of their kind of plans for the future, there's this white paper. It's quite an interesting read. So if you are interested in it, have a look. Ironically, during the last kind of couple of weeks since I bought my Monaco kind of tokens, or my MCO tokens, I should say, it's the only thing in my portfolio over the last couple of weeks that has gone up, and it's gone up like massively. It's gone up about 60%, I think, in 2 weeks. So they are getting some adoption. The fact that you have to lock away their token for 6 months for various sort of higher level cards within their kind of crypto kind of cards, I think it's really good. But they seem to be getting a bit of a march on 10x at the moment. I know Wirex have cards. I signed up for a Wirex account this week, and I might get a card delivered in the next kind of week or so and just trial that out, see how it kind of works. But Monaco is a really good project. Well, it's a project I like. For full disclosure, I'm not getting kind of paid or anything like that, but it is. I do own 50 of the kind of tokens because I wanted a particular card. But it's an interesting kind of. It's an interesting project. It's interesting really to see that they have rebranded. I didn't think that the Monaco brand was particularly kind of bad, but they're trying to become, I think, a little bit more all-encompassing. So crypto.com will be the overall sort of platform that used to be Monaco, and the card bit of it will become MCO. So anyway, let's jump over to the next story. This is another good news story. So IBM have signed a $740 million deal with the Australian government to utilise blockchain for data security. So this came out, I just read this, I think it was this morning when I got up, I just read this story. So IBM's doing a huge amount really within blockchain at the moment. It doesn't seem to be a week that goes by without another announcement of IBM partnering with somebody to look at kind of blockchain kind of sort of implementations and blockchain uses. So this is a really interesting story. So they've signed a 1 billion Australian dollar, which is 740 million US dollars. So it's a 5-year kind of deal to use blockchain, other technologies to improve data security. So it's a really good news story. Hopefully this will drive forward kind of adoption. Australia, another country that seems quite open to blockchain. I know their kind of economy might not be kind of like going that kind of great at the moment, but they seem to be very open to kind of blockchain and cryptocurrencies as well. So I think this is really good news going forward. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of projects and what kind of implementations come out of this over the next few years. Let's jump over to the next story, and this is Tezos. So this is an ICO. So it's an ICO that raised almost $250 million US. I think it was about a year ago. I think it was last July their ICO was, and it's been plagued with controversy ever since. They've gone through numerous lawsuits with regards to whether with the SEC, whether they're kind of securities and all this kind of thing. But some good news for kind of Tezos is that this week, or just a few days ago, they have launched their beta network. So this is sort of a precursor, I suppose, to the kind of like the main net, which will go live. So they're calling it Betanet. But it's nice to see that they're actually kind of making some progress on the kind of platform. A lot of people are really kind of bullish on kind of Tezos. And I presume it's called, I think it's Tezos. Tezos. You can probably let me know in the comments below if I'm pronouncing it incorrectly. But it will be interesting to see kind of how the platform kind of develops. A lot of people are really, really bullish on it. And then they've had these kind of issues, so multiple lawsuits, mentions here with the US Securities Exchange Commission, so the SEC, and they've been fined, and there's been a lot of kind of negative press over the last few months. But it's really good news, I think, for them that they've launched their kind of a beta kind of network. So I think that's kind of great for them. You know, hopefully it's the start of more positive news coming out of kind of Tezos. I did notice actually today that their token price seems to be down about 20%, which often seems to be the kind of case, doesn't it? So some good news comes out, or mainnet kind of launches, and you know the price actually kind of plummets rather than kind of going up. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see whether they can get sort of like on top of some of the kind of issues that they've kind of had, whether they can move beyond that and into sort of like, you know, kind of implementation and a sort of rollout of their kind of main net. And then the last story this week, so this was something I came across this morning, and I actually sold up to it. So it was quite an interesting idea, I think, this. So it's a gaming company, so they are allowing players basically to win cryptocurrency with their first person shooter. Now before you get too excited, I actually signed up to it because I thought it was quite an interesting kind of project. So I went to Warfield, I signed up for the game. The game it's really old fashioned. It's a first person shooter, but it's like going back to the days of kind of like Wolfenstein or stuff like that. It's pretty patchy and pretty kind of shaky, but you can grab their token. So they have a token here called the Golder. It's an ERC20 token, like a lot of these are, so it's running on Ethereum's platform. And when you sign up, you can get some free golden in your account. So you can get like 100 for signing up to the newsletter. You can get stuff for signing up to their Telegram group and their YouTube channel and Facebook and all those usual kind of usual ways of kind of like getting in kind of some free tokens. But basically you can play it online, so you just play it in a kind of browser. It's a first person shooter. When I went into it, I could only find one, maybe two people. The sort of situation is you're on like a container ship, and it's just a fairly standard kind of first person shooter. It's not particularly well polished or anything like that, but I think the idea of having kind of games and being able to kind of earn tokens through games, I can see this becoming something quite popular, particularly maybe with some of the larger kind of providers. So if you've got stuff like Steam doing it, something like that, I think that could be really interesting. But I think it's quite a cool kind of project. Basically, when you play your game, you sort of wager a certain number of these golden on the outcome of it. So you know, you might be kind of like wagering. So I was wagering one golden, and I'm not very good at first person shooter, so I immediately just got shot a few times. But it's quite an interesting kind of concept. You could see, you know, something like kind of Fortnite, where everybody kind of pays a small number of kind of tokens in, and the, you know, winner takes all with a kind of pot, that kind of thing. And once it kind of goes live, so they've got an ICO at the moment, you can buy these kind of tokens, and you can use them then to I think kind of upgrade stuff within the game, so you can buy different weapons and things like that. But it's quite an interesting kind of concept. I would like to see it rolled out within maybe some better quality games, some existing kind of games, because the game that, you know, is online it's not great. If you're used to playing, you know, something kind of decent, it's probably not going to kind of cut it. But it's a really interesting kind of prospect. I like the idea of being able to kind of earn tokens, which you can then take out and convert for actual kind of money or something like that. And it seems to be kind of made for a kind of like, you know, a token or a kind of cryptocurrency, this kind of thing. So you know, I wish them well. I might you know, check back in a kind of few weeks. So let me know if you are going to kind of try and play it. Maybe we can try and get online at the same time and have a bit of a first-person shoot up. But that's the last story for this week. Thanks very much, as always, for watching. I've been really busy again this week, so I haven't got as many videos out as I would like to. I think, to be honest, the next 2 or 3 weeks are going to be very, very busy for me, probably till the end of July. So I will be getting my sort of regular videos out. I'll try and get an additional 1 or 2. I know I've got Marcino videos to kind of do that I've been kind of promising, and I've been a bit delayed with those, so apologies again for that. But thanks very much for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you would, that'd be great. Leave me any comments below. If you are going to sign up to this kind of Warfield, let me know below your usernames or whatever. Maybe we can get everybody in the channel in at the same time. We can have a bit of a shoot up. But anyway, thanks again for watching. Have a great weekend, and hopefully I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.